I've been a climber my entire life. I started out as a young man in high school as a rock climber and graduated to a career working in trees. I don't know if that's graduation or not, but it's a career where I can still climb. And a lot of people have offered me different positions in this industry. I was offered a city arborist job one time, and I thought about it, and I thought, well, then I'd be like the tree police. And the truth be known, the reason that I do this kind of work is I love to climb. I love to be up in the trees. I thoroughly enjoy my job. And I get to see some properties. Every day is a different experience for me. Every day is like a mini adventure. So, yeah, I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can, because when I stop climbing, I think I'm going to get depressed. As a lot of you realize, I'm an old school climber. I still like a taut line hitch. A lot of people say, why don't you switch to the Blake's hitch? Well, I've tried it, but I really like the taut line hitch. And, people say, why don't you go SRT and do this and do that? And, I'm so tried and true in my ways of doing things, and I feel so comfortable with this knot, that I'm fluid in the trees. If I want to get down, it moves quickly. If I want to stop, it's a quick tug up, and I'm secure. And I think it's kind of like, the person that learns how to drive a stick shift. If you switch to an automatic, sure, it's nice, and sure, it might be a little bit easier, but if you really like working with a stick shift, you understand. So one of the things that I really want to talk about, and one of the main reasons that I built my YouTube channel, is to expose corruption and irresponsible processes and techniques in tree care. For instance, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cables in this tree that I can see. Six cables in this tree. Does this tree need to be cabled? I would say no. Oak trees are naturally big, wide-spreading trees, and oftentimes a cable can lead to long future problems. This tree has also been topped many, many times in the past, principally for the view from up above. And while I don't like it, and I don't think it's right for the tree, I understand why the homeowners do it. The property value is increased significantly if they've got an incredible view. So anyway, what I'm dealing with here is cleaning up issues from people's past mistakes. And, it is what it is. Cables, that's an expensive proposition. And I can remember in the past, other tree companies that made a lot of extra money by selling unnecessary services. They would sell stuff to clients like deep root fertilizing. You've got to deep root fertilize your tree. Oh, look at that, from cable number 7 down there. Didn't even see that one. Which makes it hard for me to work around this tree. It's kind of up and down, and working each area as an individual part. I can't really, I can't tie in and swing over because I'll run into the cables. In years gone past, I used to use what was referred to as a flip line. Everybody seems to call them lanyards nowadays. And I switched over to this device here about 10 years ago. It's called an ART. And while I don't have a cable in my flip line, this flip line, or lanyard, as you like to call it, is so quick and easy and adjustable. I can pull it up and down. I do have an issue with the rope here. A lot of times I'll pull it up and I'll clip it behind me, the excess rope, as I run about 16 to 18 feet of additional rope. So it's like having 2 ropes together. I did this little tie-up over here. So how about if you come up in the tree with me, and I'll give you a better idea of what it's like to do one of my jobs. Now, this is kind of a relaxing job for me. The tree itself is not too tall. It's kind of a wide spreading tree, so there's a lot of areas to work with. As I was saying, the cables are a major inconvenience for me because typically what I do on a job like this is I'll get up to the highest center point, and it allows me to work an area and then swing over to the next set of branches. And then, if it's a big, wide open tree without interruptions like cables, then I can get around really, really quickly and really easily. Unfortunately, on this tree, I got to go up and down and up and down and up and down because I got to get up and around those cables, and they're kind of high. If I could get up and over them, that would be fine, but you got to be careful not to let your rope rub against the wire cables. So, there's pros and cons. You certainly don't want to wrap down with the rope rubbing up against the cable on the way down. That can cause damage to your rope. You'll notice that I've got a rope that's in pretty good shape. And part of the reason that it is in such good shape is I don't like to use it on pitchy trees. I don't like to use that particular rope on pines or sticky conifers. I do wash it from time to time and keep it clean, and they hold up pretty well. I replace my rope every 4 or 5 years. Some people say you should replace your rope every single year, but I think that's excessive. I do like my little electric saw. It's not as fast as a gasoline saw, but it's pretty close. I like the fact that it's instant. I like the fact that it's quiet. There's no fumes. I like to relax when I do these big cleanouts. I find it almost therapeutic. Notice I'm not using any hands. Show you how well that taut line hitch holds. Just one quick jolt up, and it locks. It locks really well. Now, the Blake's hitch, a lot of people contend that it is much safer. Maybe it gives a little bit more friction and it doesn't slip as easy, but that's one of the things I don't love about it. I like the looseness of the taut line hitch over the Blake's hitch. Now, I'm not knocking the Blake's hitch because if you use it and you love it, then that's up to you. I like to say each to his own. And like I say, part of the reason that I have used the taut line hitch for such a long, long time is the length of time that I've been doing it. I've been doing this this is my 50th year in business. And when I say that out loud, I'm kind of shocked by the fact that I'm still doing it. I'm 69 years old and I feel pretty strong. I feel pretty good. I'm not the spry young buck that I used to be, but I still get around pretty well. There's my lanyard. And I use a lanyard both clipping up and over a branch and to my other D-ring on my opposite side of my belt, as well as clipping to itself, because it allows me to sometimes utilize that as a second rope. Handsaw. I use the Fano handsaw. Everybody has their preferences. Actually, I prefer the ARS straight blade. I just don't have a new blade right now. So I switched over to the Fano, the curved blade. The straight blade, I like it just a little bit better. It seems to be, I don't know, it doesn't grab quite as readily as the hooked blade does, the curved blade, I mean. The curved blade is more aggressive, but they're also less expensive. I think I'm paying about close to $30 per replacement blade. If you look closely, you'll see a lot of wounds on my arms there. That's a daily event for a tree guy. I mean, if you work in the trees, you're laughing about it. Every single day you get up in a tree, you draw blood. It's rare that I go home without a little bit of a scar. My kids are always saying, "What'd you do, Dad?" And I said, "I just went to work." You get used to it. You see a little bit of blood. You say, "How'd I do that?" Tree work is not for the faint of heart. And you have to stay in shape, but it keeps you in shape. I can cut. I was cutting branches up to 3. I even took one 4-inch dead piece out of there with my handsaw. It's almost working in a rhythm. You get to a point where you make lots and lots of smooth cuts. We did 8 live oaks on this particular property, and this particular one, I think this was the largest of the 8. They were all just loaded with dead branches, partly because they'd been topped so many times and the inside wood died back. There was a few limbs I did take out, and let's see, I think I'm about ready to wrap out of the tree. I'll show you how smooth this knot works. I don't fly out of the trees. I could if I want to. I could hit the ground in seconds, but I know that ripping out of a tree really fast can burn the branch. And I'm not using a cambium saver up here. Maybe I should. I've got one. I rarely use it. I inspect the branches, and I rarely see any damage caused by wrapping out of a tree, unless I fly out of the tree real fast. And that's what the trees look like when they're all done. There's one more of the cables up here. This particular job, it was just Jorge and myself, just the two of us working. And for a lot of the time, we were working either side by side. He'd take a tree, I'd take a tree, because it was mostly just little tiny branches, and we worked well side by side. If one of us needs help, we're both up and down so often we can, call over for help and jump over, and we'll take care of each other. Jorge, this is at the end of the day. We were almost done, so he jumped up and helped me finish up this tree. That tree took me almost the whole day to do. It was a lot of deadwood up there. But it was a really beautiful property. I really enjoyed working out here. It was very peaceful, and that's what it looks like at the end.